Welcome to Entry Points Radio. Every week we share human-curated playlists to break the algorithm. We're going to take a deep dive into new tracks, new humans, and new sounds to fall in love with from around the world. I'm Kate Bass.
And I'm Richie Steighner. We founded Global Music Collective to discover and create new music across boundaries. We've spent the past decade meeting fascinating people in over 50 countries.
These are the real songs and real stories that we share with real people along the way. This is Entry Points Radio. All right, Richie.
All right, Kate Bass.
So shall we try this?
Yes.
Our first podcast? We did it. We're those people now.
We are those people now. The world needs more podcasts.
This is what the world has made us.
We've become part of the cog. We've been the machine. I don't know.
Part of the cog.
We're not even
cogs
a
in the
whole
system.
cog. We're just a tooth in a gear.
Just a tooth in a gear. Who's the tooth and who's the gear? Well, we're doing great. This is going great.
Off to a great start.
All right, Richie. So here's the deal. We've started a podcast, as we just said. And our intention behind this, what's your intention behind this? Why do you want to do this bogus thing? Why do you want to do this?
Bogus thing? I like this because I have listened begrudgingly or just because I have it to Spotify for so many years. And there's so many problems with Spotify. I'm an artist and I still pay for Spotify. Like, what am I doing? It doesn't pay me anything. And as I listen to Spotify, it just keeps like diverging into this algorithmic path of music that ends up being the same like 20 artists. Not that I have anything against them, but we have traveled so much, Kate. We've been able to do these programs in different countries and meet different artists. Some of them can't even be on Spotify. And I just feel like my life has been a little better because I've listened to people that Spotify never will lead me to. And so in an effort to disrupt the cogs and the machines and be a spanner in the works, I think doing a podcast and sharing some of the songs that we've gotten to listen to or that sort of break the algorithm, I think that is valuable in this world. Especially like we look at Spotify and music as this sort of background music sometimes. I mean, how many people you just listen to it because you're cleaning the house or because you're cooking or going to work? And I think we've sort of relegated music to this sort of like, I don't know, alternative task. But it is so crucial to culture and growth and individual identity and community identity and making the world better. And it feels like the world just keeps getting worse. So all of that is, I don't know if there's a word for that. That's what I want to accomplish. Also, I just like listening to music, and I think we have strange and not strange and normal and abnormal taste in music, and it's kind of fun just to hear new stuff. So that's why I want to do this with you, and that's why people should listen to our amazing podcast, Entry Points.
Amazing podcast,
Starting
Entry
today.
Points.
Boom.
Starting today. It's funny. I feel like it's what you're saying is really related to what we were talking about recently with just as soon as culture becomes a category, like people, I was telling dear listeners, dear one listener that we have,
Thanks,
who is
Mom.
probably my mom.
Yeah. Hi, moms.
I was telling Richie the other day that I saw an article, and I'm going to completely paraphrase this, so don't quote me on it, Mom. But I saw an article the other day that was saying that arts and culture affect human cognition by some percentage, positively or whatever. And I was thinking, well, when did culture become this category that, like having access to culture improves cognition? Like culture is the plant and the whoever designed the way our microphones look and my shirt and, Richie's glasses. And culture is an expression of people. And Richie said something really cool where you were saying that what was it, that if culture becomes some kind of a category, then it's easier to dispose of or something like that.
If we try to package culture up, which is sort of what we tend to do now in these like little meetings or group meetups, or I don't know, however you want to sell it in Starbucks, then it's like easy come, easy go. If you can package it up so simply, then it's just as easy to take home and chuck in the trash or leave in your closet.
Yeah. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of the group meetups. In fact, that's what Entry Points kind of is. But the idea behind group meetups, I think, is that it's like the term world music. Like, I happen to love music of the world. Like, I grew up in Alaska. I am a trained opera singer.
Wait, you grew
I
up in
learned how to
Alaska?
sing. Yeah, did you know that? Richie, the internet public does not know where I'm from
That's
yet.
true, but we'll carry this on into the next
We'll carry this on
episodes.
forever.
We'll know that
Yeah,
you're
it's
from
true.
Alaska.
Anyway, so I'm from Alaska, and I learned jazz. Do you know this? I learned jazz from a guy named Yevgeny Chernonog, who was a jazz musician from Siberia, from Magadan, Siberia, which is our sister city in Anchorage, Alaska. And Yevgeny, who we called Zhenya, and his friend Slava, who was a saxophonist from Magadan, and his whole jazz group came up to Alaska and stayed at our house this one night. And they
crazy.
brought
like 12 years old.
Yeah, these giant group of Siberian men who played the saxophone. They showed up at my house. And I remember it was my first taste of alcohol, actually. One of them gave me a taste of vodka. And I was like, this is disgusting.
Of course.
And they played the great jazz song Misty. Do you know the song Look at Me? Da 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 da.
Did you know it as a kid, or this was your first time hearing
that? I don't remember, but I do know that this was my first moment. My family had a little piano in the basement, and I was already a singer. I played the flute and I was a singer. I studied, whatever 12-year-olds study when they're studying the voice. And anyway, Zhenya was like, do you want to sing with us? Come sing with us, in his Russian accent, which I won't try to do an impression of because that will get me mocked and shamed for the rest of my life. But anyway, so I sang Misty with him, and he was like, you should be a jazz singer. I would go to Zhenya's house every week in Alaska where he would teach me jazz.
Oh, you brought props and everything too?
I didn't. It's just here at my desk. I'm in my bedroom.
Okay.
Anyway, he taught me the blues scale. He taught me jazz, and he gave me my first fake book, good old-fashioned fake book.
Yeah.
And there's even a little thing on the inside here that says, "Dear Kate, with this book, you will make the musical history," which I did not, of course. Maybe still, Evgeny. We don't know. Anyway, the reason I'm saying this whole long story is that I grew up kind of exposed to lots of different kinds of music. My mom took my sister and I to the Alaska Native Heritage Center all the time, and we would hear the really incredible performances from different musicians from indigenous tribes around Alaska. My mom loved world music. And so I worked at the Barnes and Noble CD department for a while and would listen to all these. Yeah. And I remember I was just so bored at the time. I think I have a commitment problem, but I'll love a thing and then I want to see what else is out there. So when I worked at the Barnes and Noble CD department, I remember there would be these days that I would just roam the aisles of CDs. You know how they used to have these aisles of CDs with the little plastic tabs
and divided into genres and alphabetically.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. Well, I would just go into all the different genres and I would look for a name that I'd never heard before. And I would go listen to the CD. I would buy the CD at Barnes and Noble with all the money I had, Yeah,
there was no algorithm to say I didn't realize you liked this music from Siberian jazz musicians. You should also listen to blah, blah. You just wander down the aisles and you almost judged by the album art, which was such a big thing.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of just all AI generated slop.
Yeah. And it's funny, at some point along the way, my mom gave me a CD of Yo-Yo Ma's Silk Road Ensemble project. Do you know Yo-Yo Ma, the famous cellist?
Yes, I've never heard of Yo-Yo Ma. Tell me about this. What does he play?
Well, I don't need... Yo-Yo Ma is a great cellist. Anyway, he started this project where he was working with musicians from all along the Silk Road who played different instruments. And I just thought it was so amazing. And I loved the sound of the music. It was nothing I had heard before, but it was still kind of classical. And I always had this dream that one day I would grow up and get to travel the world and meet musicians of different kinds and get to sing with them. But I was really scared. I was scared about how does that even happen? And would they even accept me? How would I meet them? How would this occur? And then I went...
What were you scared of?
I don't know. I mean, what are any of us scared of when we're connecting with people from a different culture? We're scared that they won't like us. We're scared that they won't understand us. Scared that we're not welcome. Scared that our attempts to connect will be met with just kind of I don't know, either dismissal or anger. I guess. I don't know. I was too young at the time to really know. Also, no one was really doing that as far as I knew, other than Yo-Yo Ma or world musicians. We've said since the beginning, right, Richie, that world music is BS because all music is from the world. And yet people don't tend to really venture all that far outside of their cultural bubble or silo, as we like to say in today's day and age. And I feel a lot of times I'll tell friends about music that I listen to that I love, like Diljit Dosanjh. I used to talk to people about how excited I was about this music I was listening to when I was living in India. And people would be like, oh, Kate and her world music. And then Diljit Dosanjh goes and plays on the Jimmy Fallon show. And all of a sudden,
Oh,
Yeah.
now who's yeah, okay.
So anyway, enough about me.
You're like,
What
see,
about
I
you?
knew
What
it.
got you into all this crazy stuff? You were doing a cappella and pop and hip hop and
I know. Well, my entry point wasn't quite as like
ah,
cool. Well, okay. So I was in 7th grade or 6th grade. I don't know. It was like we had one of those elementary schools. It was like K through 8 altogether. Anyway, one of the kids in my grade, his brother came and his band played music, and they played like 8th grader rock music, which
yeah.
in hindsight was probably terrible. But they played a song by Bush called Swallowed, and I was like, I don't know, like my mind was blown and my ears were completely changed and like goosebumps. And from that moment on, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to play guitar, and I want to sing on a microphone and be cool and wear cool clothes and play it. 6th grade.
Look at him
gyms.
now,
Yeah,
kids.
yeah. Look at me now. I'm really well. That was. I mean, it took a couple years
Clothes are
because
cool.
I asked my mom for a guitar, and she was nice enough to buy me an acoustic guitar for Christmas. And as I think I was a freshman in high school, I was like, no, Mom, I don't want acoustic. I want electric. And so she went back to Sears or whatever and returned the like $64 guitar and got the electric version. And I just like made as much noise as I could and tried to sound like a rock band, and I loved it. And you know, I would go to concerts and never really was exposed to anything other than like what my friend would say was good music. And it took a long time. I guess like in that way, that's how you develop your taste, right? It's like this is what your friends like, or this is what your parents like, and you just listen to it. I say that cautiously because there's probably a moment in life where you're like, I'm not listening to anything my mom likes anymore. But then I got to performing my own stuff, and then I became an a cappella singer, which itself is its own
So cool.
so cool. We didn't want to be like, nobody wants to not be cool, right? Like everybody wants to kind of impress people when they do stuff. And I think that's like part of music. And I think, I don't know, acknowledging that is a really big part of the whole cultural side of it, is like what is cool where you are is deeper than just like what's in the moment. Like there's a reason why mumble rap is, or maybe was, cool for a while. And I think that's probably changing too. But like, it's cultural. All of these things are cultural. And then when we try to like package it up as like, this is pop music and then that's world music, I think it's just such like a lame, easy way to try and delineate these things. But anyway, as an a cappella singer, I got to travel a lot. And you mentioned Silk Road. Like we got to go to Uzbekistan of all places, and they took us to Samarkand, which is like this really cool market on the Silk Road. And they play different instruments, and it's ancient, and you feel like this is way older than the rock band that played in my high school gym or grade school gym. And you just, I don't know, you just start to think about things differently. You start to think like, all right, that was my cool, but this guy's super impressive playing this like stringed instrument that I've never seen before. And I'm not that great at guitar. So like, what really is cool here? What really is good and quality and value? They like that. And maybe I would like that too if my mom had listened to it too. I don't know. It's just, you just start to like put your brain in a little bit of a scrambler and appreciate things differently. So that was that's my entry point. Eric Weber's brother's 8th grade high school band playing a cover of Bush.
Swallowed by
Swallowed.
Bush. Wow, that's so cool. I swallowed.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't know that song, and I didn't know this story from
I
you.
should add it to my list actually, just for like the sake of all of this.
Oh, there's always next week and the week after and the week
That's
after.
true. Well, is that a segue?
That's a great segue.
Okay. Take us to the next place, Kate.
Okay, I'll take us to the next place. So here's our thought here. Richie and I have been traveling abroad and working on putting together all of these very large international projects with one of our companies, Global Music Collective, which started out as basically an initiative to try to work with people of different cultural backgrounds and, every possible difference through music, to collaborate on original creations that we co-wrote together and co-performed together. And we've gotten to go to some amazing places together and separately. Times have shifted. We've been both kind of shifted back to the US at this moment. And we've been thinking a lot and talking a lot together about what's cultural diplomacy here in the US. And that kind of got us thinking about, why are people not connecting more with these different cultures when they're all accessible to them? You can log on to Spotify and hear a dutar player from Turkmenistan, and yet we don't really have access to that because there's so much out there. It's hard to know what to look for when you don't know, what's even available. So as we've been talking about this, we thought let's start sharing the music that we're listening to. So what we're thinking is that every week, just like the good old days when you'd make a cassette tape. I just dated myself.
Yeah.
But just like the good old days, maybe when you made a CD, I don't know. And you would
Can you
write.
still buy cassettes? I've totally
I think it's coming back. I think they're having a comeback. Just like the record players are having a comeback, I think that cassette players are too. But I don't know about you. I got rid of all my old cassettes and old CDs and everything.
Well, I'm sure there's a milk carton at my mom's house that has some pretty sweet Green Day cassettes stuff.
I don't know about you, but I feel like my mixtape cassettes were the most valuable. Like I think about my friend Ariane, like shout out Ariane. We used to make each other these like super like thoughtful mixtapes where we would, make collages for the cassette tape cover. We're just trying to make our own little cassette tapes for whoever wants to listen to get some access into some music they might not have heard otherwise. So every week, Richie and I are going to share a playlist, maybe of about 15 songs or so each of what we've been listening to recently. And we're going to share some stories for why those songs matter to us, what those songs are about. My inspiration for this was actually public radio here in Texas. And they still have real live human DJs that play the music that they like and are listening to, and they talk about it. I am really tired of the automated playlists. I want to know what real humans are listening to. So we thought all of you might want to know that too. We have friends all over the world who are musicians, and we thought it might be kind of fun to have some of them on sometimes and hear, what's Dovran Shamuyev listening to in Ashgabat? What's Harpreet Singh listening to in Mumbai?
Yes. Absolutely. And I think the value of that is that it's coming from our actual experience. I think the danger of doing something like this is that it becomes performative, like, oh, I found the most deep cut song nobody's listened to. But I don't think the goal is to show like how interesting and unheard of music is, but rather like I actually liked this song and I put it into my playlist because I was doing something and I enjoyed it. There's some intersection about like our lived experience in what you could call like the West, if you will, and what you don't see. I was talking about this yesterday with my family. Like the West has become conglomerated by things like Spotify and things like ChatGPT. And there's sort of this like companyization of these countries. And that has become kind of our culture, our shared culture. And a lot of like what goes into AI and what goes into Spotify and algorithmic music and Live Nation and all of these things. Like I think like it's important to expand our reach to beyond just like what we receive from Spotify. I think it'd be better for us to see more than just what we are presented. So Kate and I have both created on our own, we've created our own little playlist of like 10 to 15 songs, plus or minus one or two. And what we're going to do is we're going to share them with each other and probably react and probably say like, who is this? Or why do you have that person on there? And then I think we could probably talk about a few of them and say like why we have them on. And then as Kate mentioned, what we're going to do every day, hopefully, is we're going to take a little bit of this and we're going to say like, this is kind of our favorite song of the day, and we'll put it on our socials. And then you as a dear listener can subscribe to our, what is it?
We've got Substack and we've got Patreon.
We're basically going to post these playlists for Apple Music and Spotify. Part of doing a podcast is that you're not actually allowed to play the songs right now as like a broadcast without getting all the rights and everything. And so what we'll do is we'll share those songs as a playlist so you can listen to them on your own time when you're going to work, cleaning the house, doing whatever you do. Sweet.
Shall we do this? Shall we look at our playlist?
We should.
We have just so everyone knows, we have actually really not looked at each other's playlists yet.
I'm just looking at, this is your list, right, Kate?
This is my list.
I don't know what other list this would be. All right. So I'm just quick scan. You got Peter Gabriel on here. I was like,
that's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Okay. And Paul Simon. All right. So I feel like Peter Gabriel and Paul Simon are like as my like closest obvious like entry points in like pop music world. Patsy Cline. I know John Mook. We actually did a program with John Mook.
Yeah!
So you went and you threw a friend in there. I appreciate that. Leon Bridges. Sublime. I went and saw Sublime recently for St. Patrick's Day. They do Kegs and Eggs here in
Yeah.
Denver.
Although you didn't get to see their great singer,
I
their original
know.
singer. 'Cause
Yeah, but
he's
it's
no
his
longer with
son,
us.
and he's like,
Yeah.
he's
Oh, that's cool. Well, hey, I'm just going to tell you really quick since you pointed them out. The reason I have Paul Simon, Patsy Cline, Peter Gabriel, Sublime, and Leon Bridges up here, we were talking about being authentic about the music we're really listening to, and those songs literally have come up this week. There was one other I didn't quite put on yet, but that was Beck Loser, which popped up in a coffee shop, and I was like, I forgot how good this song is.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing is for me, I also have been thinking as we've been talking about this show idea about when I hang out with musicians, when we go to other countries and work with them, almost always the way that musicians become friends in the beginning is we start sharing our playlists with each other and we'll just sit and listen to music together. Like it's just, I don't know about you, Richie, but for me, that's been like
totally
the biggest icebreaker with everyone. And it happens organically. And I just think it's funny because like Paul Simon, Peter Gabriel, to me, there's no greater way to show just like what in my opinion is like great beginning of what I now consider American pop. I mean, in your eyes is just like, oh, it's so good. I feel it. And you know what's amazing is that Peter Gabriel, as far as I know, recorded this before autotune was a big thing. He is just an absolutely incredible singer. Like his technique is incredible. So those aren't my like main top ones, but me and Julio down by the schoolyard was playing this morning while I was making my coffee, and I was listening to that. And I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going. I'm on my way. Do you know the song? Taking the time, but I don't know where.
A big acapella favorite. Everybody.
Oh, that makes sense.
Anyway, so.
Well, anyway, I was just thinking
totally
we're on our way. We don't know where we're going. We're making this damn podcast. I thought it was kind of
apropos.
So that's my and I just have to say, Sublime again. Shout out Ariane Massengale and our mixtapes, literal mixtapes when we were little girls in 7th grade. Like Sublime was our favorite band. Ariane and I knew the lyrics to every single Sublime song ever written, and I just find it really funny because like we're two little blonde-haired white girls in Anchorage, Alaska, listening to like. Evil, gonna tell you that she's evil, but definitely.
I mean, the lag is gonna kill us. But,
okay.
Well, I love it. This is great, and I feel like the more I look through this, obviously Bella Fleck is super famous, and maybe kind of like, I don't know if I can say this, but like the entry point for a lot of people into more world music, I guess. Like, if you could say like Bella Fleck kind of broke through into like the pop consciousness.
I would say Bella Fleck did such a good job of just breaking through into so many other genres. So for those of you who don't know, Bela Fleck is a very famous banjo player who has played across genres with so many different like pop musicians to jazz musicians. He's recorded all these different albums of different genres. And this country one he recorded with some Edgar Meyer is one of the most famous double bass players alive, as far as I know. But the thing about Bela Fleck is I don't know if he's as much a bridge into like, world music as he's a bridge into just different genres for people in America.
Bela Fleck has some shows in Telluride coming up, which is here in Colorado, and still doing
love him
his thing. I'm guessing different languages represented here, and I don't want to like assume like where people are coming from, but I'm guessing there's some Indian artists on here. Mugabe sounds, I don't know, somewhere in Africa.
Oh my God, Kenneth Mugabe. He's from Uganda. I love that song so much. Okay. I got to tell you about that. So Richie and I, when we first met, we were working on a program in cultural diplomacy. When we first went to Uganda, it was online during COVID. We actually didn't get to go there in person. We were doing a virtual program with Ugandan musicians on Zoom. And I was asking everyone what were the like lesser known kind of more indie songs coming out of Uganda and what were some of the artists. I would say it's one of my top 3 today because it's just such a great song and it's got a instrument in it that sounds like a fiddle, but it's not. It's called the indigidi, which is it's like a little tiny stringed instrument. I say tiny because it's like a small fiddle and they hold it kind of against their shoulder, not dissimilar from a fiddle, but it has fewer strings. Anyway, it's a really cool instrument. It's a traditional Ugandan instrument. And Kenneth Mugabe is a pretty well-known Afro soul Ugandan singer, and he sings in Luganda, which is the language that they speak in Kampala. There's like over 50 languages in Uganda. But anyway, this Naji is the name of a girl, and he's asking her to date him, basically. But it's just cool. It was cool to hear it because it sounded like some of the words are in English and some of the words are in Luganda. And when I first heard the song, I was like, oh, I really feel a connection to the style of music because it reminds me of a lot of singer-songwriters I've heard in America. But then there are these instruments I don't recognize. You could hear the kind of more traditional Ugandan drums in the background, and then he's singing in Luganda. And yeah, it's also special memory because it was COVID and
Oh yeah.
my first taste of independent Ugandan music.
I'm taking it in. I'm obviously like more to discover.
Oh, are you curious about Luis Bonfa?
I am curious. I'm guessing there's a Portuguese.
Yeah, it
Rio? Oh,
is.
Sol and Rio.
So,
That makes
do you know
sense.
the song? Da 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 da.
Nope.
Da, 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 da. There's a really amazing movie called Black Orpheus that was set in the favelas in Rio, and it's about love, but it's also very much about socioeconomic disparity, and it's just a really fascinating, beautiful movie. And anyway, there's a scene where this song, I believe, was premiered, and it's a gorgeous song. And Luis Bonfa is one of the great guitarists, singers, bossa nova musicians in Brazilian history. And this song is one of his most famous. And it was just, whenever it comes up on my playlist, it brings me back to so many memories. I mean, memories of different people in my life, different times in my life. It always just makes me think of, like, I don't smoke cigarettes, but it makes me think of a friend of mine many years ago back in college. There was this one morning we had all gone out and had this crazy night. And I remember just sitting, it was in Brooklyn, back when Brooklyn was like, back when Brooklyn was cool.
All right. Yeah.
Well, we were sitting in just some dingy apartment in Brooklyn, and I remember my friend just pulled out a cigarette, and this song was playing, and it was like a sunny, hot day in the New York summer, and I was still in my early 20s, and I
Sounds
felt
like a
so,
painting.
as you said earlier, I felt so cool. It was a moment that I just felt so cool.
Like, my friend is smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the melody of that song, I think, is one of the most beautiful melodies I've ever heard in any song. It's just gorgeous.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, that's that
You know
one.
what? I feel like that's such a big part of songs that we like is just having some emotional memory tie
Mhm.
to that,
I
even
agree.
if it's like a bad memory. Maybe
I
almost
totally
especially
agree.
if it's a bad memory. But that's cool. I like that story. It sounds like some avant-garde painting or
Yeah.
some Art Deco. Yeah, I'm curious about Shreya Ghoshal and the Kalank motion
Gotta
picture
wanna
soundtrack song.
paradisia. Yeah.
Did that come from your? Kate lived in India for like a year plus, maybe 2
No.
years.
Yeah, more than.
Wow, time flies.
But I
Did
lived
that come from
part-time
that?
out there, so it's hard to really say.
Okay.
No, actually, so that is Indian. It's from a Bollywood film, as you can see. That is a song that I somehow, being the weirdo that I am, heard and picked up on and saved on my giant playlist many years ago. And I remember listening to it, and it's just such a bop. Like, it's like, and this is like one of the most famous Bollywood tunes in India. So everyone right now, if there's anyone listening from India, would be kind of like rolling their eyes. But that song
That's so funny.
just like used to be one of my entry points into Indian music. And it was so funny when I moved to India, everyone was so shocked that I knew Bollywood music. They were like, "You know Bollywood music and you're a white girl from America?" And I was like, "Of course I know Bollywood music. It's great." And that's one of the songs. It's just like such a joyful song. The drums are so great. She's welcoming I think in the song, I hope someone corrects me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure she's welcoming a foreigner um into her home in a way, which I think is really beautiful. I never knew that. But when I was in India, I remember finally looking up what the lyrics meant to that song and being like, oh, God, Ghar is the way you say home in Hindi. She says, "Oh, foreigner, I welcome you into my home."
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, I thought that was really sweet when I finally learned what it meant. But those other two songs, we've got Lecture Lake and Jind Mahi. I learned about those two songs when I got to go to northern India. I got to go to Amritsar, and actually our guide for the Golden Temple, which is this incredible Sikh temple, the big temple in the world that's literally gold. It's if anyone here hasn't heard of it, you should look it up. It's incredible. It's like the the center of Sikh culture. And anyway, our guide who showed us around it when I was up there, I was asking him about what his favorite music was from Punjab because I had only heard Diljit Dosanjh. And so he mentioned these two people to me. Well, he mentioned many. We could do an entire day's episode on Jaggroop's songs that he shared with me.
Cool.
But anyway, I love them because Jind Mahi is like, you can hear that it's from a while back. Like there's like the saxophone that I love, I like, there is this prevalent saxophone that's in like so much music from all over the world, especially in the 80s and 90s. But I like Jind Mahi and Lecture Lake because I feel like now that Diljit Dosanjh is having this moment, and Diljit Dosanjh is amazing, I want more people to be like, I want to learn more about Punjabi music, because there's so much good music coming out of all of these places. It's not just Bhangra. Like there's a lot of really good music coming out of North India. So that's that.
Fabulous. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. This looks like a good list.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot more on here to like dive into.
Yeah, there's one from Aleppo, Syria, who now lives in Berlin up at the top.
Wow.
That's a really cool song.
Yusef.
Yeah. And Susanna, everyone's got to listen to that song. That's just a really great summer tune.
Is there anyone we're missing?
Hello, hello, hello.
DMC?
Somebody loves
sorry, I
you.
interrupted you. DMC.
Oh, DMC. Oh, yeah, that's a badass lady rapper out of India.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. There are some really cool female rappers and hip hop artists in India, and they're just not as well known because, well, women.
Well, and hip hop particularly, it's traditionally been.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, please.
No.
It's traditionally been. Okay. Well, anyway, I was trying to look up a while back because Richie and I were doing a project in India and we were trying to find female rappers to feature on a song. And even having been in India for almost 3 years, I had so much trouble finding female rappers. Not that they're not out there. They are. They're just not as well known. It's just more difficult to get access to them. So that's one of the songs I found that I liked. And then the last thing about my playlist, I do want to mention John Mook, my dear friend from, actually, he now lives in Austin. He's originally from Uganda. Hilariously, I met him here in Austin. I've only ever known him here in Austin, even though I've spent a fair amount of time in Uganda at this point. And John he's just such an interesting musician who's got such an incredible story. Maybe we'll have him on as a guest someday.
That'd be great.
We did a global music collective project with him. He's a beautiful guitarist, beautiful singer, beautiful songwriter. He's now started an amazing initiative called Shake It Africa, where he's trying to feature different musicians from Africa on his songs and in different performances. He's trying to put on different events. I just think he's an awesome person. And Writing is one of the lesser known songs from this album that he put out. He has a lot of singles that have done really well from this album, Flying Away. But I really loved Writing because it's kind of talking about how he's seen so many different things change. He's seen politicians succeed and fail. He's seen religions come and go. He's had lovers break his heart. He's had all these things in life, but he just keeps going. He just keeps writing along and making his music. And I was listening to that also this morning and I was like, this is a great tune. So yeah, that's my list for this week.
Woo!
Woohoo!
Thank you, Kate Bass.
Yeah. All right, Richie.
All right, make sure.
Time to get to you.
There it is. Can you see it?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Boom.
Whoa, Richie. Oh my God. You have How Deep Is Your Love by PJ Morton. That was almost on my playlist of this week.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, I swear. That's so cool.
Cool. I want to know why.
Okay,
now.
I have so many questions for you. You got Jessica Bongos, Feature and the
I put a friend too.
Friends.
Yep.
He's got some Krungbin because he's a cool hip guy like that.
Cool hip guy.
And you've got Prize Yourself. I love that song. So just so everyone knows, I always ask Richie what he's listening to because Richie has the most interesting, genuinely eclectic taste in music. And every time I ask you, you tell me some random thing that I'm like, what? Who is this? And I listen to them and they're always really good. Sometimes they're way more artsy than I would expect because just also quick background, Richie is a pop music producer among many, many other things. But I want to know what got you into Satyagraha Act 2 and which song is this actually? And did you put that in just because you knew I'm an opera singer, or did you put that in because you're just that cool?
No, I was actually afraid to put that in because I thought, the opera world and the Western classical world is going to be like, Philip Glass, of course. I don't know. It feels like.
Isn't that interesting though? Yet again, you're afraid. We're all afraid that we're going to share something we love and people are going to roll their eyes.
Yeah, well, it's like,
but I think that's amazing.
It's the aux cable. You know, you're sitting in the front seat and somebody gives you the aux cable. You have to like put something on that is like, oh, you've never. But I liked it. I heard it. I heard it on Stranger Things, and it was like season 3 maybe or something. And I think it was just like or whatever the like. And it took forever to find it because I was like, what the heck is this like final song in this? And then I found this, and it's the whole album Satyagraha is sort of in this
opera.
Well, it has this vein of like going between triplets and quarter notes, and it's intense and it's fun. Anyway, it's 14.
Do you know what it's about?
I have no idea. I think Satyagraha is probably Sanskrit or some older language as far as I got with that, but I don't know what it's about. Can you tell me what it's about?
It is sung in ancient Sanskrit, and almost all of the verses are from the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
But it's about Gandhi. It's about Gandhi's nonviolent resistance, and I think it's in South Africa or something like that. Yeah, but that's really cool. That's that was your entry point to it, was from the TV show Stranger Things, which is yeah. But that's really, really cool. And Philip Glass is he's a legend in the classical music world. I don't know how much you know about him.
Yeah, well, I started listening to more of him because of this album, because of Stranger Things, and it's just you kind of follow the rabbit hole down these paths. I think as we do this podcast, you're gonna learn about me that I just listen to the music and I like it, and I don't always dig into the backstory, but more of like it's self gratification. Like I like my ears like it,
great.
and that's enough for me sometimes.
Super cool. All right, so Richie loves opera is what we're all learning.
So does Kate. Kate loves it.
I want to ask you about Immaterial by Sophie.
Oh,
what is this?
Sophie. Okay. So a couple of years ago, I was doing this thing where I would write a song every week, and a brand new song. I'd produce it. I'd do a music video. I'd release it everything within a week. And the problem with that is like, you need something to kind of shake your brain up every once in a while. And Sophie, was this amazing trans artist, and they passed away, but their music was so funky and dancey and electronic-y, and they would mess with their voice, and I'd never heard anything like it. Anytime I needed to kind of shake my brain up a little bit, I would listen to Sophie, and it would change the way I could like write the song that week. So I fell in love with Sophie. Immaterial was my entry point into Sophie. I think it was like their number 1 song. But
how did you find out about Sophie?
I don't know. I have no idea. I think it's just somehow like something breaks through the algorithm, and then you're like, let me get that. Let me keep that in my pile. And then you go back to it and you think like, oh, that's really cool. And it ends up in the list.
Oh, that's really cool. Isn't that also such a sad and beautiful thing, how our music lives on in legacies that we never could have possibly known it would, you know?
Right. Well, that's, Kate, you're a musician too. You create your own stuff, and I'm sure that some people listening to this now create their own music. Or even if you don't write music, if you write or you do anything whatsoever, I don't think you know now necessarily the impact of that. And maybe in 10 minutes, maybe in 150 years, one of your songs reaches somebody, and they listen to it, and they feel like seen or heard or intrigued or calmed or something like that. I think sometimes when you make music and you put it into the void of these like gazillion songs on Spotify, you think, what am I even doing? Like, why am I putting this music out there? And I don't know. I think that's the solace you take, is that somebody is listening to it and somebody liked it and enjoyed it. And even if it's one person that you've connected with by pouring your heart into producing something, that's important.
God, I want to ask you about every single one of these. Maybe we just should. But those in Gang of Youths are all...
I told you about them the other. So I was living in Australia for a while. We just moved back in November. And while we were out there, we lived in Melbourne. And Melbourne has this very cool kind of, I don't care art scene. Like everybody likes coffee and dresses in gray and black. And it's rainy and hot and cold. And it's Melbourne. It's a really fantastic city for... I don't know. It's maybe kind of like inspired by Brooklyn. I don't know. But Melbourne is like, it's like the world's most livable city, or number 2 on the list or whatever. Like,
Okay, so tell me about Gang of Youths.
anyway,
Are they
Gang of
from
Youths,
Melbourne?
as far as I could tell, they're from, well, I don't know where in Australia they're from, but they're from Australia. And they sing this, like, the lead singer has this kind of lower rock voice, which I think is probably why it appeals to me. I have a lower voice and I like singing rock music, probably from my early days listening to Bush. And I had a friend play it at a party and I was like, I really like this. What is this? And he told me about them, and they ended up on my playlist. This song in particular, Fear and Trembling, is like their opening song on their album, and I've listened to it probably 457,000 times. During COVID, it reminded me of my brother. And so while I was living in Australia and he was living here in Denver, it was just like I would play it over and over, and it just kind of like reminded me of that. I think when we were all sequestered into our little lives of isolation, that was what it was. So that's when I really I got hooked on them. And then the rest of that album is their songs are longer and they tend to kind of build and fall, and they're like really dense lyrically, and it's almost like reading somebody's kind of like emo diary. But he sings it so well. He sings it with passion. Like it's interesting songwriting. It's not like most pop music and rock that I've listened to. So it really appeals to me. I think you should listen to Gang of Youths.
Very
So
cool.
there's that.
It's cool to get to see like what indie music in Australia is, just like, about Uganda and Kenneth Mugabe.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's
Well,
like, oh.
And that was another cool thing about Australia is they have, I'll shout out to Triple J. They are a radio station that will actually go find independent, not big name artists, and they will put them on the radio, and they do like their top 100 every year, and we all have like listening parties, and it's like legitimately a path from I'm gonna start playing in these like crazy crummy Melbourne bars, which are just loud rock boxes. And then, so you might pop off and you might become a little bit more famous because you made it onto Triple J's top 100 and somebody picked you and you made it through.
Wow.
I don't know. It's like, it feels like real music still exists through that portal. I really like that about Australia, and I like that about Triple J, and I hope that it sticks around because they're up against huge competition that wants you to listen to, good music, but it's the top 40.
Can I ask you a question?
What
What kind of drink would you order from the bar?
Always beer. I'm a beer guy.
What would be an Australian, like, say you're sitting around listening to this music, you want to have the experience as though you're listening to Gang of Youths at a bar in Australia.
Yeah.
If it's beer, if the real Australian drink would be beer, what would the beer be?
Definitely not Foster's. I know that's
why I wanted to ask.
Yeah, like our fake commercial, like Foster's Australian for beer. That's a terrible accent.
Yeah.
But that's, I don't think I've even seen a Foster's out there, much less the like giant.
What kind of beer? Like, if I was going to try to recreate the Australian beer experience, what kind of beer would it be?
Probably an IPA. They're like
an IPA.
Yeah, Australia now is like they're hooked on IPAs. You can't like not buy an IPA, and yeah, they're all about the IPAs now. Which I'm not a huge IPA fan, but it's at least better than trying to just chug down
what would you order at a bar though?
Bar, you would have to order chips, which is just French fries.
Okay.
You can't buy a drink without ordering food. They have a drink. It's not actually alcoholic, but it's lemon lime bitters, which is like this. It's what you get if you're driving or you don't drink, and it's basically just like lemon lime soda. So kind of like a 7-Up, and then bitters, and it's nice. It's like you feel like you're drinking like a non-alcoholic, maybe gin and tonic or something like that. Something that just like looks fun, and you don't have to get drunk tonight because you don't want to, or you're driving.
I
or
love
whatever.
that. All right, so if you want to listen to Gang of Youths, pour yourself a lemon lime bitters, and have some French fries.
That's right. Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry. I went off on Australia, but I just feel like I've never asked you enough. And
I could talk for hours. I like it.
There's probably a lot more unknown ones here, but in terms of Surprise Yourself by Jack Garrett, you got me super into that song. And Cold War by Cautious Clay, maybe you got me into that, or we have convergence there. But like, tell me about those and how deep is your love? Like, what put them on your list?
I don't know. So Surprise Yourself was another one of the songs where I heard it at a party, and then I had to like go find the guy that had the, connected to the Bluetooth speakers. Like, what was that song 12 minutes ago? And we finally found it.
Yeah.
And I'm such a sucker for like big harmony style vocals and interesting production. The song itself is in like this weird time signature, but it doesn't feel weird. Like sometimes when you listen to like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, that feels normal to us, or maybe 6/8. But this one is in like, I don't know, I feel like it's like 14/8 or so. It's like this very strange count to it, but the way that it comes through, it's just like, it doesn't feel jarring. It doesn't feel like strange. And like it just builds and it's beautiful and it's kind of a little electronic, but vocals are heavy. Um, yeah, I loved it, and I've probably listened to that one another 457,000 times because
That's a good
I don't
one.
know, I'm that guy. So, and then Cautious Clay, I definitely have a hip hop background, and I really like kind of like the jazzier side of hip hop, in particular like older stuff, Pete Rock, and when like jazz was sampled into hip hop, it's just, that really appeals to me, even if it's saxophone. I know you hate saxophone, Kate, but
No, I like saxophone. Yeah.
sorry, I'm putting you on blast. We could
I don't hate
Kate
saxophone.
loves saxophone. Anyway, but Cautious Clay, like it's another one of those songs where it's like kind of a very chill start, and then it hits you with like these big like big moments and big voices and stacked voices, and that's definitely like my a cappella background. But I feel like I'm really drawn to the natural side of vocals, even if it's not like lyrical, if it's just like choir singing or sort of modern style harmonies. I love that stuff. And so Cautious Clay, it takes you on a journey, and I'm really into it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so just PJ Morton's amazing. We just know he's amazing. Everybody who doesn't know PJ Morton, like, go listen to PJ Morton. What's wrong with you? Um, I don't
What's wrong?
know. I feel like it's kind of like the Leon Bridges thing, you know? Like, if you don't know Leon Bridges, I feel sorry for you. Go listen immediately
Like,
to the.
check out PJ Morton. I think he just came out with a new album, and this is a cover song. Obviously, How Deep Is Your Love is not his original, but it's definitely worth listening to. I think cover songs sometimes get a bad rap. I give them a bad rap sometimes. I was in an a cappella group and would push back against doing too many covers. But I do think it is a nice entry point to re-button our name into
He
this.
brings it back.
I like that song, and who's this guy doing it in a unique and interesting way? And I think every cover song, if you're going to do a cover song, you need to make it your own, or you at least need to sing it in a way that tells me that you are expressing something that is real to you. But anyway, I like this PJ Morton version, and I like
You know,
cover songs that do that.
it's amazing, Richie, as an opera and jazz singer and Broadway singer.
Oh,
Everything we do is cover music, right?
good
It's
point.
interesting to me, and I don't know enough about this. Maybe we should talk about it in a future episode. But I like you and I had a really long conversation once over too many beers about the difference between being a performer and being a creative, like, you know, songwriter, composer. No one can cover the Beatles, you know, but like as an opera singer, everyone in the world has covered, you know, Le Nozze de Figaro or whatever.
It's
You know,
been
it's
written
like,
and created for you, and
yeah.
yeah,
And it's supposed to be performed again and again in different people's voices with different people's interpretations. And
good point.
there is so much creativity in how you interpret the song. And even if you did How Deep Is Your Love exactly, you know, in the same style as the original, but you brought your own feeling and meaning to it, I think it's interesting. You know, I love new original music as well, but I do think it's interesting that there's this contemporary pop music of the past, 50 years or so. There's this kind of sense of like, if Michael Jackson did Thriller, no one else shall do Thriller. And I get it, you know, it's iconic, but it's interesting. It's probably because of recorded music, I guess. Like Beethoven didn't get to record
True.
Beethoven's Ninth, so
Yeah, and I suppose composers, there is we've crossed into a new line of like from just composition into like singer-songwriter, wherein
yeah,
it's yours. I mean, even like rights administrations is like, did you write the song and did you record the song? And yeah, we still kind of delineate between the two, but it's hard to separate Michael Jackson from Thriller. There's,
right,
you know, even though like Quincy Jones was a gigantic part of making that song come to
right,
life, you know, you think
right.
Michael Jackson, um,
It's Michael
Anyway,
Jackson's song. Like Whitney Houston must have
oh,
written "I Will Always Love You." You know,
Whitney. Well, she made
yeah,
it
Whitney's
hers.
amazing, but Dolly wrote it. You know, like they both were incredible. There's no anyway. Okay, I'm sorry. I digress. I'm not asking enough about the things I don't hear. So
No, that's okay.
tell me about Herida de Amor.
Herida de Amor is basically this is like a Spanish cover of Love Hurts, and they do a lot of
Ah,
styles of like American, I don't say doo-wop, but like kind of that 50s, 60s, maybe 40s style music with the guitar and like the four-piece band that you would see on like the black and white show. That's kind of their vibe, but it's sung in Spanish and it's turned into Spanish. This song in particular is kind of as close to the original version as you might expect. So it's kind of like worth
cool.
a listen. There's a bunch of other like cultures that do this where they'll take the English version and they'll sing it in their language, and it becomes kind of a different animal because this one's in Spanish. The next one on there he's an Italian artist, but there's a lot of Italian artists that will do English songs in Italian too, and it sounds completely different and it's cool, and it's just like a nice way to like shake up your brain a little bit.
Oh, that's cool. What is the Italian one an English song too, or what's that one?
No, the Italian one, this Fabrizio De Andre is, in my opinion, like it's what I think of Italian music. It's this guy. It's another low voice guy, and maybe that's why I'm drawn to it. Is because like my voice sounds like that when I sing, and it makes it singable to me. Um, and it's dense lyrics. He like sings like he's in conversation, but Il Pescatore is I don't know. My wife's family is Italian, and when I listen to this, I think of like her dad who loves to go fishing, and I think of like we got married in Italy, and it's like out near the water and near the ocean, and I don't know. It's just like the way he sings it, the like vibe, the things he talks about. It just takes you like right there, and I know a lot of his music is like political as well, which like is just so intriguing to me that like I know we have a lot of political things going on in our lives, but when you think of like Italian politics, they have their own sort
Yeah.
of issues on their own and things that they complain about and love and vote for and don't vote against and blah blah blah. So I don't know, there's just like a real depth and richness to it that I find really fascinating about him, and he has a lot of other really cool songs, and some of the stuff that he writes has like different influence from all kinds of different places, whether it's like Irish music or bossa nova music comes into what he's doing, and some American style music back from the 50s as well. Like it's cool. Like you listen to his album, it
Man,
kind of takes you
I
on
want to
another
listen to that.
journey. But
Every time he talks about his
anyway,
in-laws and the food that they eat, like there was a period of time that Richie and I were working online. We'd be sitting
oh
there
my
on
gosh,
Zoom or something, and he'd have to go pick olives in the family olive grove or whatever, and they're always eating like, fresh truffle oil, uh, you know, whatever. Maria's always talking about the brick oven pizza and stuff like I mean, so now just thinking about this song is gonna make me have the need to eat
yeah,
delicious Italian food. Man,
yeah,
yeah.
Italian memories by
Italian
proxy,
cuisine,
some psychedelic. So,
it's so interesting. I
well,
was just
yeah.
this is such a digression, but I was out with some friends of mine from India recently, and we were talking about how in Indian cuisine, it's so much about like different like the interaction of
Mm,
different spices mixed with different things, the way that they cook it down, like the technique behind their cooking. And in Italian cuisine, what's so
mm,
interesting is that it's actually what they were saying, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but relatively simple. It's just about these very simple, fresh ingredients and how they interact with each other. But it's less about like a spice blend of, 55 different spices.
right.
It's so, it to me, it
Yeah.
reflects so much about Italy. The landscape itself it's not that it's simple. Nature is never simple. It's always like super diverse. But um, there's a beauty to the just fresh purity of like the colors and the flavors and yeah, now I want to go eat Italian food.
I think I've had the exact same experience. Some of the best food I've ever had is like her family cooks this
Right.
lovely, a lovely dinner, and there's three ingredients, and it's or it's the pizza itself is just a
Yeah.
focaccia style bread
Yeah.
with oil and salt, and that's it. And it's like it's extraordinary. And I missed out on the idea of simplicity and reassociating this idea of like really appreciating a tomato that was grown in an actual field with actual rain and not like 3D printed in some Monsanto lab where it's like, see, this is tomato sauce, eat it. Like that. I think that's kind of where we gotten in some ways, is like you go to the store, you buy it, it's a perfectly red tomato that has no blemish.
It doesn't taste like anything.
It doesn't taste like anything, exactly. And of course, because of that, you start to think, all right, well, that tomato doesn't taste like anything. Let me add 12 other things that don't taste like anything, and maybe I'll have a dish. There's sort of a return to simplicity and reality that is valuable.
What I love about this so far is that the thought to me now of listening to Il Pescatore, which isn't that the fisherman or the fish or something? Whenever I hear this song now,
the fisherman,
I'm going to think about like cooking Italian food and the beauty of simplicity. I feel like that's what we're trying to get people more into with this. That's what we're trying to get each other more into. Like that's the entry point. It's not just about the music. Like it's not just about the song. It's about the whole experience that comes along with it. So I love it.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, and then the more you like dig into it, like he talks about food in there. He talks about hunger and fear and the military, and like there's a lot of like layers to it. The more you start digging, you're like, oh, okay, I like this more, or I like this less. But you can actually form an opinion about things
it's just
rather
background.
than just sort of like.
And it's 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Like how incredible to be able to pack that much in 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Okay. Let's continue moving down your list. Tell me about 99 100 and who's Oma? What is this?
Hip hop, OMA. They do some like really kind of cool live style hip hop, which I really respect and I love. Obviously, like hip hop came from this world of sampling, and I talked about earlier, you would take jazz records or funk records, and you cut up the break, and that's when you get people dancing, and they throw an MC on it. But like kind of re-engineering that and playing it live again, I think is cool. And so OMA, this song in particular, it just like came up during some basketball game that I liked because it's played live, because it's like it's catchy. I feel more connected to it than just some like generic like Hilton lobbies. I'm gonna jump down to Sun Ra, Nuclear War. This is like beat poetry, like original, like early hip hop, Africa Bombada style. Like it's funky, and it goes on for 7.5 minutes.
Whoa.
And it's like this is what you will listen to, Kate, when you're in your Brooklyn apartment, sweaty, and like your friend's got a cigarette on. And
so
like,
you start with Louise Bonfa, then you go into Sun Ra. That is an intense kind of hang. I'm into that.
That's an afternoon. Yeah. Yeah. That's one where like you don't talk to anybody. You just sit in the corner like. Yeah, but it's a protest song, and it's like you're there with them in the moment. It like really calls on a lot of traditions that we use now in music that we don't realize we do, and it's worth a listen. It's worth 7.5 minutes of your life. Let's see, Daite is an a cappella song, but the thing that gets me is like they start the song by saying like die. And it's a different language, so it doesn't mean.
Do you know what language it is
exactly? I think it's Slavic. Let me check.
That reminds me, while you're looking it up, that reminds me when I was a kid and I was in some choir that was doing like a holiday concert, and they were singing about the hora, HORA, like the Jewish dance at a wedding, but the choir would go the hora, and it sounded like
the hora. Okay. Slovenian musical group.
Oh, Slovenia. Cool.
Slovenia.
I know nothing about Slovenia. Have you ever been to Slovenia?
I went for lunch. We had a tour.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Please tell me more. Please tell me more.
Yeah, we had a tour with our a cappella group. We were in, I forget why we were there, but we went to Slovenia where they had like this, there was like a castle, and like we had some lunch there, and I think we even did like a small show there.
Wait, do you remember what you had for lunch in the castle in Slovenia? Like what? Why do you just say this flippantly? This is it's a strange thing. Where were you? You were not sleeping in Slovenia? You just drove into Slovenia for a castle?
I genuinely don't know.
Okay, that's fine.
It was in 2013, and May 23rd is when we were. There's not a
That's
lot of
where
people
we're
that
at.
can.
That's
Yeah,
where we're at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if the castle had lunch. I think it was just like some guy made a castle, and which I guess is the story of most castles, but I think he just like made a castle, and then it became this like local landmark that you could go to and visit.
What?
Anyway, what a thrilling story from
That
Richard.
is a thrilling story. Okay, so
That's another castle in Slovenia, I think.
I'm very excited about your Slovenian castle song, and I need to know about. If you don't mind skipping over Krungbin, because I know and love them,
You know
or
them.
you could give us
They're
something
great,
quick
but
about them.
no, that's okay.
I want to know about athletic progression and mulatu. Like, what are these last ones?
These last ones. Okay, I'm going to reference Krungbin with. No, Krungbin. I think if you start with like Texas Sun or any one of the Krungbin song, and you just hit, give me that radio, it's like people will be like, oh, sweet vibe, and
Yeah,
nobody says that, but athletic progression.
People say that.
It's a minute 35, but it's like back to that like heavy pocket and kind of jazz hip hop stuff that I really like. This is a really good place to start.
Awesome.
And one is a basketball term for all of our non-sports fans out there.
Knicks. Go Knicks.
Go.
Or the Spurs.
Go Nuggets.
Either one.
Oh, sad.
They're both great guys.
They're
Groups of guys. Great groups of guys. Very nice men. Okay.
All right. I'll close it up here with a Mulatu Ostatke from like 50s, 60s, 70s. He's an Ethiopian jazz artist.
Cool.
And he
Love
actually, speaking of Brooklyn, he moved to New York when he was younger and like really got obsessed with Latin jazz and took it back to Ethiopia, which now has this like very, I don't say eclectic because that's not the right word, but it's like not what you would expect for Northeast Africa style music. It is like what he has done is kind of pervasive in what has become pop music and jazz music, particularly out there, but also what he created when he went to New York, came back to Addis Ababa, started making his music, and then like all of these hip hop artists started to sample him. So a lot of his music has ended up in everything from like Kanye West to blah blah, like you name it.
Wow.
There's a lot of hip hop artists that have sampled his music, and so it's like re-pervaded into American pop culture. So
wow, cool.
Yeah, it's like as you dig further into, I think that's maybe one of the reasons I like hip hop is because the depth is like somewhat endless. Is that if you keep digging through songs, like you find that this person inspired this person, so and so. I guess you could do that with anything, but it seems to be a little more like obvious with the sampling that happens in hip hop. But
yeah, good point with the sampling. Yeah.
So worth a listen. He's got another song. It's like Tetse Take, I think it is. It's like probably one of his more famous songs. It's beautiful piano jazz. But then like the more you listen to him, the more it starts to incorporate that Latin jazz style with sort of like polyrhythms and multiple rhythmic instruments that jazz, I think jazz as I know it doesn't always do. I think jazz sometimes like delineates like, all right, your piano, your bass, your saxophone, and your drums, and that's it. And like you take your turn, and then I'll take my turn, and then everybody claps after our turns, and like, right, good for us. This I think like something that I like about Latin jazz, while they do certainly have like their own solos too, like there is I think a really deep like interplay of like Latin rhythms into what they do, and then to incorporate that into the improvisation of jazz, I think is cool. And I would kind of wish more jazz did that. I'm gonna get
I mean, who knows how much? There's probably a lot of jazz that does do that.
My perspective of jazz is like pretty limited. Like I took a jazz class in college, and like I've tour managed a couple of jazz bands, but beyond that, it's not like I'm deep in it. I enjoy that Mulatu Astake has incorporated like Latin jazz into Ethiopian jazz, which has then been reincorporated to like American hip hop, and I think that's really cool.
That is really cool.
I love to hear that. Like this guy came to the U.S., learned a style of music that was also like sort of imported into the U.S. by many different forces, Latin jazz, and then took that back to Ethiopia, which already is like this center of the world, if you will, in terms of culture and commerce and trade. And like if you go back many millennia, like Ethiopia is deep. It's a deep place to go.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and that music then influenced Ethiopia, who then re-influenced the US. I don't know, I just find that uniquely satisfying to see like a kind of a full circle.
Yeah.
And then we got to go there with our hip hop group, and we did some performances in Ethiopia, and it was like we tried to write a couple of songs that sounded Ethiopian. Just like can we try to like vibe with the style out here, not to like claim it as our own, but like what can we be influenced by out here on our end again. And like it's, you start to like find different tempos and different rhythms and different instruments. It was one of those opportunities where you actually see things come all the way back around full circle, and it's kind of a nice feeling. Anyway,
Wow.
that's that.
Ethiopia is such an amazing. I've only been to Eritrea. I haven't been to Ethiopia.
Only been to Eritrea. That's such a
But
like a that's like my Slovenia.
I
It's
know
like,
it's like going to a lunch at a castle in
yeah.
Slovenia.
But Eritrea is, that's, I don't think a lot of people have been there, and
We'll talk about Eritrean music next week. I
sounds good.
promise. I'll put some of that. I just want to ask you really quickly to tell me about
Absolutely.
Jessica. But we both love Jessica Bongos, so we might as well tell the
We
world
do love
why.
Jessica Bongos. You had included John Mook in yours, and Jessica is a friend of ours as well. Jessica is a Nigerian artist. She has been very influential in a lot of programs that we've run. Like, she's an amazing community organizer. Her voice is one in a zillion, and she writes these beautiful songs. She's one of those people, like, she walks into the room and you know that she's in charge, and like she starts singing,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. So she had come out with this a little while ago now, but it pops up into my playlist every once in a while, and her voice is just extraordinary. So pop her on.
Yeah.
You get a taste of like what of her life and what she's gone through, and what what Nigeria is like, but kind of by proxy. And it's, yeah, any chance you get to like throw some Jessica Bongos on the radio is worth your time.
Yeah, man. She's so awesome.
Yeah.
Jessica's so cool.
And what a cool name too. Like,
okay,
you get like,
I know.
how do you get that?
Does she play the bongo? Jessica, do you play the bongos?
I think I
We
never
need
had the
find
heart to
out.
ask, because I feel like that's asking like
She's probably
all the
asked
time.
that
Yeah,
all the
but
time.
now I want to know. So Jessica, if you're listening to our
Yeah.
podcast here, please answer. Bongos or no bongos? Please.
Bongos or no bongos? Richie, I have to ask you, we've gone through all
Yes.
these. If you were to, like, I hate it when people ask me all the time what my favorite
Mhm.
music is. Like, that's one reason I'm excited about the show, because here we've talked forever about like 16 of our 20 million songs we each have saved. But if you were to boil this down to even just the ones that stand out the most today in this conversation, what would you say are your like top songs of the week? Like, pretend we're going Monday through Sunday. What would you be like, this is the Monday song?
This is the Monday song. Okay, I'm going to start. My Monday song is going to be Nuclear War, Sun Ra. I'm starting the week off with a bang, proverbially. I feel like you would only listen to it on a like Saturday afternoon, but like I'm starting the week with it. Sun Ra coming in on my Monday. Then I think I'm gonna go later in the week. I want something to re-scramble my brain. So Immaterial. I want Sophie in there towards the end of the week, maybe a Thursday or Friday, like mix up, shake up. And then I always go back to Fabrizio. Take me to the ocean, and we're gonna sit there and fish a little bit. So Il Pescatore gets my weekend vote. That's 3 songs.
I
You
love
can
that.
put them on repeat all week. But Sun Ra, Immaterial of Sophie, and then Fabrizio De Andre for my top 3. All right, Kate.
I love that.
What about you? I went first, so now you.
My top 3. See, the ones that stand out to me for this week, I'm feeling Susanna. We didn't talk a lot about Susanna. It's just such a vibe. Like, I remember listening to that when I was living in Uganda for a little while. I remember just making coffee in the morning, and it was like this song. It just makes me think of like a sunny a sunny morning to just be chill, and I love it. So I guess that would be my Tuesday song is Susanna. Um, and then Thursday or Friday, I think I would go to uh Jind Mahi. I'm feeling that right now. It's just such a great, like, kind of old school. I love it. I don't know. I
I
don't know
like
how to
that the album
describe
is
it. It's
Millennium Mixes.
joyful.
That makes me think of some like Will
Yeah, it's a
Smith
really
Millennium. So.
probably if someone's listening to this from Punjab, they're gonna laugh because they won't laugh. It's a very famous song, but it's just like it's old school. When you listen to it, you'll hear it's old school. But there's this, there's just a beat in the back, and like I don't know, it's a vibe. I'm
Is this
feeling the vibe of it
like if I
today.
put No Scrubs on my list and somebody was like,
I don't know.
okay,
I don't know because I'm not Punjabi, but that's what it
okay,
sounds like to
all right,
me. Um, and
just a weekend
then
vibe.
honestly, my weekend vibe after this whole long discussion would be somewhere in between John Mook Riding and Luis Bonfa Manhã de Carnaval. Um, they're both very different, but they both have this kind of like more chill vibe, but like a much deeper inside. There's a deeper meaning, but the vibe is so evocative and chill. Um,
A nice evocative weekend.
and I just recently had a beer with John,
Oh
so like,
yeah,
yeah, I think I would just maybe let's go with John. So my weekend tune is John Mook
okay,
Riding.
great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I believe what we'll do now is we will, over the course of this next week, we will share these songs on our Instagram page, which is currently Global Music Collective on Instagram. But that's the name of this program is Entry Points.
Entry Points Radio.
Yes.
Yes. Because this is our version of radio, even though it's
Well,
not.
true.
Radio.
You got 2 hours of incredible song recommendations. We didn't play a single song on this radio, but
That's your job.
Yeah, you have your own streaming services, and we want you to discover these in your own way.
Thanks for listening to Entry Points Radio. You can find the full playlist and connected links for this episode in the show notes. Subscribe for behind the scenes, playlist archives, and more at our Substack and Patreon. Your support makes our work possible. Follow us on Instagram at Entry Points Radio. If something in the episode opened a door for you, send it to a friend. That's the whole point. We'll be back next week with more music beyond the algorithm.